Hello and good evening, everybody. Please confirm in chat if you can hear me. Welcome to the session. Welcome to the session, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us on such a short notice. I'm your host, Shekhar, and today we are going to be the voice of our researchers of our country. Sadly, in the morning, I had to break a news which was not a very good news, but yeah, definitely it was a good news, I can say. Not a very good news, but definitely a good news. So the news pertains to all of us, all of you, your future. And since Biotechnica and I personally truly care for all of you, I made sure that we were in touch with the DST officials, we were in touch with all of you. And finally, the day has come then that we have to discuss today's development. Now, to be very frank, I believe it was an eyewash. But before we jump to conclusion, there are some good things also about it. So we'll be debating on that. Now, along with me, we have our co-founder and my guru, Neha ma'am. We have Dr. Farhan Zamir sir. We have Tanushree ma'am. And we also have Tithi ma'am. And we are going to have a hour-long discussion on what should be the next steps, what really is good and what really is the bad, and what is the real ugly part. So we have to discuss all of that in the next 1 hour's time. In the meanwhile, you all please feel free to voice your opinion in the chat box, because I believe India is a democracy still, and we all are free to voice our opinion. And if we don't do that, then probably we are headed towards a dictatorship, right? So we must voice our opinion, whether it is good or bad, or whatever you feel like about today's development, today's hike in fellowship news. We will definitely display it on the screen as well, right? Now, having said that, because we have limited time, we may not be able to take everybody's question or comments, but we will try our best to do that. Now, first and foremost, I would like to bring up our very own Dr. Farhan Zamir sir. He has vast experience in research, to come over and share his thoughts on the latest developments in the hike in fellowship. What is his opinion? And then we'll kickstart our session. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, Shekhar Sir, I congratulate you and the entire team of Biotechnica, because you being a voice, because, sir, when we as a PhD student, it is always scary, because, I am fighting as a student, I am fighting against the system. Okay, my guide will be against me, my institute will be against me, the funding agency will be against me, and hence, directly or indirectly, during my viva or during my presentation or during my review, this rebellism of mine can actually have a direct or an indirect effect. But however, when I do it individually, I will not be able to raise my voice. But when we come as a consortium, when we come as a one team, as you have rightly captioned the entire talk for today, that is voice of researchers. So as you always say, it is, once we become one, once we unite together, and our voice will be heard, so that no one person will be getting targeted, but however, we are trying to we are trying to put forward our opinions, our requirements, our requests, okay, as a team. And when we go as a team, our voice will be heard. So, the voice of researchers is a beautiful caption, and I want to congratulate you for that particular caption, which has been the thought of the day. So that's the part of the opening remarks, sir. But however, personally, I am being a fellow from various agencies. I am into research from last 17 years. And with this, I was able to get my ICMR fellowship, ICMR JRF, SRF, then BMBF fellowship, Indo-German fellowship, Indo-Israel fellowship, then a fellowship from UGC called as a prestigious CV Raman fellowship, and Nehru fellowship. All these fellowships were, this actually enabled me to think beyond a degree, sir. So hence, I would always say that, aspiring for the fellowship should be should be a motto of all life science students. Whether you get it or not is a secondary concept. But however, when we are trying to pursue either our BSc or MSc or any a bachelor's or postgraduate degrees, it becomes very, very important that we aspire. Okay, so we need to manifest only when we manifest we will think about that particular component. Now that's a mindset when we need to when we need to approach towards a fellowship. Now the word fellowship, if you look into it, it is called it is a Greek terminology which talks about to share. Okay, the word fellowship refers to share. Now what are we sharing? We are sharing resources, we are sharing knowledge, we are trying to make sure that we are trying to minimize, through our knowledge we are trying to minimize suffering which is currently in the society. So through our research, we need to try to minimize suffering. Now, how do I do this? This is only possible by doing up or by executing good research. Now, in terms of fellowship hike and other things, yes, funding becomes a very, very important criteria. Only, because for any kind of cognitive work, for any kind of cognitive research, okay, it becomes very important that I am mindful. I'm completely free of other different thoughts, and I'm mindful, and I give my 100% in my research. Now, how do I give my 100% in my research? This is by becoming financially secure. Now, when I want to become a financially secure, and this has been a motto wherein a funding agency will actually fund me, and so that I do not have any burdens of or thinking. I stand in my laboratory bench, okay, and then I think about how do I pay my electric bills, how do I pay my rental. All these things should not be there, so that I have a free, mindful situation, so that I can only and only focus on my research. Now, that's the intention of fellowship. But however, so you'll be surprised to know, when I started my research 17 years back, my fellowship was 1,500 rupees. Okay, and then thanks to DST, thanks to ICMR, then they hiked it to 3,500. Then it was 4,800. Then it came into 15,000, and then later on now they give a substantial amount. But we need to also remember there's a lot of inflation which is going on. So as the value of money is being decreasing day by day, and hence the cost is also been increasing. Now, when I say cost, initially there was no GST on my chemicals. Now there's a GST on my chemicals. There's a GST on my equipment. So if even if I do not have any particular resources in my laboratory, I need to outsource it. Now, when I outsource it, even on outsourcing, there is a GST bill. So this becomes a burden onto our researcher. So hence, it becomes very, very important that we need to make our researchers financially secure. We only, we talk about Make in India. Now, you want to drive a vehicle, but if you are not able to put up fuel into the vehicle, then that means to say, expecting that mileage would be absolutely wrong. So hence, if you want to build up that Make in India as a good researcher, and also to point out, India has the highest amount of youth population. Now, and this is an era wherein there's a lot of technology interventions which is coming up with AI, ML, deep learning. All these concepts are coming up. So you want all the students to adapt it, but if you are not able to empower them, then you have the food in front of you, but you are not able to digest it, or you are not able to consume it. So we need to we are trying to give dreams to our students. But with that dreams, we need to also remember that we need to provide them wings. And Biotechnica plays a very, very important role, that you aspire students saying that, okay, you fly and we will become your wings. Okay, so especially Neha ma'am and Shekhar Sir, you have been right and the left wing of Biotechnica, and that is how most of our researchers and research aspirants, they are able to fly with these particular dreams. So this is the good part of it. I'm happy that though there is not a substantial hike in the fellowship, but still there is some amount of fellowship that will lead into a breath of relief. That's another point. But however, I also would like to take another 1 minute to tell you that what is the scenario as a researcher also. Now, we also, as a researcher, not with all researchers, but in majority of the researchers, we need to change the mindset of it. The problem is, people are now thinking, or the young researchers are now thinking, that this fellowship is a new way of revenue generation. Okay, this fellowship is a new way of saving money. Okay, so when this kind of a mindset is been set up, so government, and also remember, fellowship, when I talk about fellowship, government is paying a researcher a taxpayer's money. That means to say, you would have paid taxes, okay, or a researcher's father or my father, my parents would have paid taxes, and a small part of it will come into the budget. So and that will be invested on me, on a researcher, so that I come up with something innovative. Now it becomes a ethical and legal component on my part, that I do not waste the taxpayers' money. So rather than me looking into a saving component of it, but on the other way, I need to also see that if somebody is actually giving me resources, how do I utilize that resources and give back to the society 100 times more, so that the society can develop as a holistic and a civil society, rather than me looking as an other mode of revenue generation, sir.
Right.
Over to
Right.
you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for those insightful thoughts. I guess you need to rush now for the internship because students are waiting. So thank you so much. You can take care of the internship students. And now we'll continue here. So that was
Thank
Dr.
you.
Farhan Zamir sir with 17 plus years of working in various government as well as non-government labs. He's a chief scientific officer in ALVA and also an adjunct faculty at Biotechnica. So now you just witnessed his thoughts. Now, let me show you what all things Biotechnica has been doing on our level to make sure that our voice is heard. And I would like to share my screen here. As you can see, when the exams were not being conducted properly, then we had done this particular campaign, Get Well Soon, CSIR HRDG. More than 2,500 people supported it. And now CSIR HRDG is conducting the exams regularly. Hopefully this year, 2 exams will be there. Now, what you're seeing on the screen, this is the demand which we had put forth, and we also forwarded a printout of this. 10,310 students and more than 6,300 people shared this particular petition. And we forwarded this to DST officials also to make sure that our voices are heard. And our demand was 75,000 per fellowship. And I feel that that's justified. Now, let me come to that. Okay, if you can see my screen now. I hope you can see my screen now. All right. My apologies. I think the screen was not visible. Yeah. So if you can see here, hike in fellowship, this is what we have been demanding. And 10,310 students had signed up this particular campaign. And we have been very active with our campaign, and we have already made it very clear that we wanted 75,000 fellowship. But sadly, this didn't materialize. Instead, what we got today is another 6,000, 7,000 rupees hike. Now, is the hike only the demand? Sadly, no, that's not the only demand. There were 5 more points, which was put forth by All India Research Scholars Association. I'm very thankful to them that they took my initiative forward and went and met the ministers. Because of my busy schedule, I could not do that, but they took it forward. Now, here is something we all have to know. I personally believe that this fellowship of just 6,000 hike is not enough. Now, why do I say that? Bear with me while I explain. The first thing is, a person who is just passing from MSc, very rarely he will qualify CSIR NET. He'll take another 1 to 2 years or 5 years to qualify. Sometimes people take even 7 years to qualify. And then by the age of say 25 or 26, now he's ready to jump into his PhD, right? So he has to spend now another 5 years into this PhD. So almost 10 years of his youth goes into pursuing the PhD. So 10 years of being underpaid, because first 3 years of preparation and then another 5 to 7 years of pure PhD. You remain underpaid, right? Highest degree, lowest payout. That is unfair. And that is where we were voicing our opinion. Now, one of the, I'll just share my screen once again for all of you. Hold on. So let me share this particular tab. I hope you can see it now. So if you see this particular demand, they were asking 60%, which would have landed you easily around 50,000 rupees fellowship. But what we got is, according to me, peanuts. I'll be very blunt about it. It's peanuts because the inflation is going through the roof. On the top of it, there is 18% GST, which also we have to bear. On the top of it, it is not at par with the pricing parity, which India is currently going through. There is inflation, there is a recession, and on the top of it, the research scholars are not getting the fellowship on time, which again becomes a problem. Like 6 months they have to wait, or 3 months they have to wait to get the money. Now, let me ask you a question. Today we are living in the era of UPI. How many seconds it takes to transfer funds to anybody? Seconds. So why can't government, which is sitting on the top of the technology, can go ahead and do that? They can actually do it, right? But instead, what happened? Instead, we are getting peanuts, which is wrong, which is not the kind of fellowship we expected. However, the good part for all of you is, for a starter, like if you really qualify within the first 2 years, or as soon as you finish your MSc, within the first year of MSc, second year of MSc, or the final year, or the next to final year, if you are able to qualify, then you are on the right track. So basically, now students have less time. They can't really, spend 3 years, 5 years to qualify and then, go for the PhD, because that way the inflation will catch up, the competition will catch up, and the fellowship will not be at par with the inflation of 2025 or 27. Let's take an example. So what was the price of milk in your, city 5 years ago? Anybody tell me? What was the price? Today in Bangalore, the price of milk is 60 rupees per liter, right? But if you go back 5 years ago, it was somewhere around 40 rupees. So 20 rupees jump, right? There's a 20 rupees jump in the price. So what percentage? It is, I think, 33% increase in the, inflation, correct? Now, 33% increase in the cost of milk, but our researchers only get 18 to 19% hike, which is not right, which is not going to support them. Plus, on the top of it, I would like to highlight here a point, which is the harassment of our, PhD aspirants. If you see here, issue of PhD scholars harassment, which is bad. Like, people are complaining that I know this incident where a girl, PhD student, was told by the guide in Madhya Pradesh that you go and buy vegetables for me while coming to the lab, because the vegetable shop is near to your house. I mean, you can't do that. They're not your colleague. They're your students, PhD students, and they are not your servants. They are your PhD students. So this kind of harassment can, and there is no body to listen to this harassment. So that's one thing I believe we have to, and in fact, if you are going to do PhD in future, please be vocal about it. You should not fall prey to this kind of a system. Another demand, which I believe is very much justified, if you guys remember, 6 years ago, there was a accident in IISc Bangalore. Okay. Now, this particular accident was a biosafety issue, or a lab safety issue, where the gas cylinder burst and 2 PhD students got grievously injured. Right. So why, and then I was contacted by one of the ministry officials, Department of Science and Technology officials, and he wanted to know my views on what lab safety procedures should be in place, and we worked with them closely to make it happen. But look at this. Are our labs safe today? I would say no. Many of the labs, many of the safety procedures are not followed. In fact, safety equipments are not there. Fire extinguishers are not there. Our PhD scholars are exposed to dangerous chemicals, and they don't have the right equipment to prevent them and protect them, which can be occupational hazard, but there is no problem. There's no way to alleviate and solve this. So this was one of the demands of the research scholars, which has not been passed on. So I would like to now bring in our very own, my guru, Neha ma'am, so that she can share her thoughts on this development, and then we'll pass on the controls to other panelists also to share their views. Over to you, Neha ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shekhar Sir. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, as I totally, completely agree with you as well as Farhan Zamir Sir, that what we got from the department is not something which we were expecting, but yes, still it is in a positive direction. So at least we got something that is good and great. But you need to, everybody needs to understand that the kid who is actually wanting to do CSIR or want to go for a research, um, they are choosing a career which they themselves don't know whether they will be able to complete it or not, because it's not only about the one kind of pressure. There are a lot of other pressures which they have to handle, and financial pressure in some or the other way is actually very lethal for a student, because you have to manage a lot of other things in order to meet your expenses, in order to do the ends meet, right? So there, it's not like that you just get up in the morning and start working on the in the lab and then complete your work and then come back. It's not like that. There are a lot of other things also related and associated. And apart from that, if you give this kind of stipend or something, so nobody will be actually thinking of it as a career, because there are a lot of other career options wherein students and other people are getting more. The funds are pretty high, and if our youth doesn't go into this kind of, I mean, if our youth starts going into some other kind of field and avoiding research, which is actually happening nowadays, so certainly we'll be losing out on the best of the minds in the country, and that's gonna impact us in after say some 30-40 years. So actually we are bringing in illiteracy more, and we are spending the taxpayers very important money, the crucial money, to somebody who is actually not eligible, who is not actually, who should not be there, because the top brass actually opted out because of the stipend issues or some other issues, or the pressures, the peer pressure. It's not only the pressures which they handle. There are a lot of other pressures also they handle, and at the end of the day, they want their life to be settled also. Everybody wants that. We also want it to be, we also want at the end of the day that whatever work we do, at the end of the day, we should feel that there should not be the frustration with which we come back home, right? So basically, CSR should look into it. They should have that human touch to it, and they should look into that. Coming closely to the point that it's this kind of stipend which they have increased, the percentage increase. They should actually look at the kind of expenses one has to bear, the inflation, the price rise, the kind of environment in which we are right now. Some 15 years back, nobody had a mobile phone. Now, if the very next person who has just started his job in IT sector and gets an iPhone, but our researcher, they have to still bear with the phone, which is not at all a smartphone. So you can understand what will be the mentality of the person, right? Because the other person is having a kind of a lifestyle, and this person is actually is spending a lot of time in the lab doing good to the society. Let us take an example of the just now we had a vaccine being created for the COVID, right? And if we didn't had good researchers in place, certainly we would not have been able to find out the vaccine in that much of in the record time, right? We would have taken some 5-7 years to get the medicine, right? To get the vaccine. So we have to look at that part also. That it's really very frustrating for the person who has already joined, who has jumped into it, and to go through, to sail through. And apart from that, it's highly demotivating for a child also, or a kid, or a adolescent, to actually think of being a researcher, because at the end of the day, you are a human being, you are a living being, and you have to manage a lot of other things along with that. You have to manage the standard of living in this society in which we are into, right? We cannot just say that before 30 years back, the way we were living, we will be living like that. And in another 5 or 7 years, he has to be eligible to get more, because he'll be now settling in, and there will be a lot of other people and families, or the person will start a family. So he has to look at that part as well, right? So they should think into that direction, and that is what I mean to say. And apart from that, yes, the stipends, they come very late. So there are a lot of PhD students who actually indulge in some other kind of, they have to be indulged in some other kind of part-time job in order to maintain their day-to-day living, right? So we have to look at that also, that if they will be given that much of extra time, they will certainly look into some other kind which will be more profitable to the organization where they are working, and they will help the organization monetize it and get more funds, right? So we have to actually not only bring in those kinds of researchers, rather we have to bring in multifaceted researchers, and for that we need to have a stipend at least, which should be up to the level of today's market, right? Oh,
Right.
I hope I made my point. So over to you,
Thank you.
Shekhar sir. Thanks for giving me
So
the opportunity.
yeah. So, my dear participants, now you can start voicing your opinion in the chat box. I'll start taking those up as well. Now, in the meanwhile, I wanted to let you know why we are doing this, why we came live, and why we are sharing our point of views here is because Biotechnica as an organization, we truly deeply care for our students. If in future, if you are pursuing a PhD and if you are not happy, it hurts us. If you are in trouble, it hurts us more. And it is not only the stipend which was asked. We also asked about the harassment issues. We also demanded the infrastructure issues. And let me put across one of the members of AIRSA, and it's a video which I'll share. You can listen to his pointers, and you will yourself know how difficult it is to do research in India and what all the struggles are and what were the demands. Let me put that across in the screen now.
Remember, though DST has acknowledged all our points we put forward, but they said they might not be the correct agency to address our issues. Even though it is strange, but they are not even aware of the lack of medical facilities we are facing in research institutes. अब सवाल ये उठता है कि हम लोगों की परेशानियों का हल किन से निकलेगा, हम अपनी परेशानी को लेके किन के पास जाएंगे। हमने इवन उनसे ये भी कहा कि जो रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स की हरासमेंट होती है, जो मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ हैं और फेलोशिप के डिस्बर्समेंट जो रेगुलर डिस्बर्समेंट नहीं होती हैं और जो नॉन नेट फेलोशिप है वो पिछले 10 साल से नहीं बढ़ा है, इन सब सारे इश्यूज़ पे हमने उनसे एक एजेंसी बनाने की बात कही। और ये बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि इस मीटिंग के बाद भी इस बार हम 20 से 25 या 30% पे मानने वाले नहीं हैं। अगर इसके लिए हमें सड़क पर उतरना पड़े तो हम रिसर्च स्कॉलर सड़क पर उतरने को तैयार हैं, क्योंकि हमें एक हैंडसम अमाउंट चाहिए ताकि हम अपने लाइफ को जी सकें। एटलीस्ट हमें अपने लाइफ के बेसिक नीड्स के लिए हमें परेशान ना होना पड़े। तो सरकार से मेरा एक अनुरोध है कि हमें हमारे इन सब चीज़ों पर ध्यान दिया जाए।
Right. So as you just heard, they all are facing problem, and we as organization and all of us should voice our opinion, should share this, that this hike is not going to be enough. And apart from that, what about the infrastructure issues? What about the biosafety issues? What about the medical facilities? What about the harassment which PhD students face? Another point, what about the non-net fellowship? What happened there? What they are still working at 8,000 rupees. That's meager peanuts. So what about that? And then there is a disparity in between the PMRF scholar and a JRF scholar. A person who writes entrance exam and clears it and gets lesser, and a PMRF scholar gets higher, wherein there is no set rule. So this is something which also should be brought to the focus. Now, in the meanwhile, I would like to invite Tanushree ma'am to share her views on this matter. Over to you, Tanushree ma'am. Your mic is muted.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Neha ma'am. Good evening, Tithi ma'am. And good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank you, sir, for initiating this campaign and today conducting this YouTube session on this very important topic. I personally feel regarding the news that we heard today, I personally feel that yes, increasing the fellowship is the good decision taken by government, but definitely this will motivate the aspiring research scholars. But personally, I feel that this increase in fellowship could have been much better.
Better.
Why I feel so is mainly because of certain reasons. First, like when we talk about postgraduates, they have already completed their degree and they are ready to earn the job, they are seeking for the job, right? And now those postgraduates who want to enter into the research field, First of all, they do the research from the reputed labs or PhDs from the reputed labs. They have to qualify CSIR NET exam. So they devote the time for preparing for competitive exams. They clear the exam, they get the JRF, and then even after clearing the JRF, they have to face the interviews. They sit in the interview, they face the interview, and finally they earn the research positions in the reputed labs or the PhD positions, or for the PhD they are selected. So after going through all this process, if they're simply getting 37,000, which is the revised remuneration for the GRF, I don't think it is the justice for the research scholars. Secondly, I feel like even I personally know, sir, certain research scholars and from my time of PhD and even now also I know certain research scholars, they leave the PhD in the middle of the PhD, they leave it. Or they leave the research position because they have a lot of family pressure, they have a lot of peer pressure, as said by Neha ma'am, that definitely like when they complete their PhD, some of them are already married, have their children, right? So they have to earn for them. And even when they compare themselves with their friends who are not in research field and are working in some MNCs or other companies, definitely there's such kind of if JRF they are getting, so it's sort of a salary that they are getting. So that is again very discouraging for them. And thirdly, the third reason why I feel that the increase in fellowship should have been better, like when we talk about COVID-19 pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic has made us realize the importance of research and development. And when we talk about research scholars, definitely they have a lot to contribute in research, lot to contribute in the society through their research work. And in this phase of contribution in bringing up some result in the lab, right, for the upliftment of the society, for the betterment of the society, like Neha ma'am said, for coming up with a vaccine for our benefit for our human health, definitely they spend long hours in the laboratories, more than 10 hours in the laboratories, right? And just as you mentioned, 18 hours, some people they spend 18, research scholars spend 18 hours also. So definitely, if they're spending such a large time, long hours, and not getting what they deserve, so definitely it is very much discouraging. And also, I would like to add, sir, like when we talk about महंगाई, like in simple general term, when we talk about महंगाई हर साल बढ़ती है, सबके लिए बढ़ती है, right? The GRF, the fellowship that the students are getting, it has been increased after such a long time, after long duration. So it's
5
my
years.
request that like after 2019 in 2023 it has been raised. So this
Right.
long duration, it should not be like government has to come up with like in a year or two they have to come up with the increments, right? Like in other fields also, if you're working, you get a hike in a year or two, right? So it's the same
Right.
applies to the research scholars also, because it's just like they're working also, they're getting paid for it. They are, although they are we cannot deny the fact that whatever contribution they are doing it for the society, it's definitely great. And also, it's a request, sir. One problem that I have seen, on which also the research scholars should raise their voices, that I have seen many research scholars, like once their PhD is done or their project is over, they again come back to zero. They don't know where to go, right? Like again, like many research scholars from the good labs, they are facing this issue. So I think government should come up with some provision that, okay, if not all, if they are not providing to all, at least the good candidates, right, who have literally contributed to the society, at least for them, they should reserve some positions in certain government labs or in some industries. So again, this will be very much motivating for the students who for the research scholars, aspiring research scholars, and also will help will encourage other also to enter into this field instead of leaving this field. So that is
Right.
what I would like to say, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Tanushree ma'am. So that was Tanushree ma'am sharing her views. Now let me talk about a few pointers which is in favor of researchers. It's not all negative. There's some positive things which you should withdraw. Okay, and that's the reason I want all of you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. The first thing you all should know is this hike came easier than last time. And that is a positive side. Okay. Now, please mark my words, whatever I say. If you guys come together, we can make this happen. Okay. Now, the first thing, this hike came easier than last time because last time researchers had to really go for a strike. I still remember the visuals. I was in IIC Bangalore and the researchers were on the road and doing a march. But this time, just a request letter, 3-4 reminders, and it worked. So that means this government listens. That's something which we all have to agree, that this government listens. And they did whatever was probably they felt was right. But now if we do not voice our opinion saying that no, it is not right, they may not be they may not even know that what they did was right or wrong. That's something which you have to remember. Now, the next thing which we have to also take care here is inflation is rising, recession is there, but at the same time, government is going to go into elections next year. So this is the right time to demand a revision of the decision, because the moment government starts going into the election mode, they will not listen to you. They will not listen to the small demand. Okay, and it will be very difficult to reach out to the minister and his cabinet and his, people there in DST to get this. So these are the positive pointers. We still have time to voice our opinion and get a revision on this. Now, thinking that it will not happen, yes, it can happen. If we go and voice our opinion, it will definitely happen. And that's the reason we are doing this. We truly deeply care for every student who's going to do PhD in the future. And we know what all hardship you will go through when the research fellowship is less. So today it may sound like, okay, 37,000 is a good number, but 3 years from today, it will not be a good number. And then if there is no automatic way of revision of fellowship, then we all are in trouble. So that's something which we have to, take care. And many students are of the opinion that, 6,000 is such high, you should not have increased at all. But my point to you here is something is better than nothing. But at the same time, if you voice your opinion again, if you all come together, sign petitions and reach out to, all the people around and, jointly, if we all issue a letter to the DST, there are chances that we still have 3 more months to get our voice heard, because after 3 months, the government will go into election mode, and after that, getting their attention will be very, very difficult. Okay, and only the next government will come back and they will say, we don't know, boss. ये पिछली government का decision है, we will not hike. So that's somewhere you should know this, that if we do not voice our opinion now, we are going to be in trouble. Now, here is a point which truly worries me. And that is the harassment, because I have seen a lot of suicidal cases also, which is, okay, exceptional. But yeah, there should be a body to where researchers can voice their opinion. And this is something which I personally believe should happen as soon as possible. Now, keeping the pace of the debate going on, I would like to bring in Tithi ma'am now. Ma'am, if you would like to voice your opinion on this matter, and then we'll try to conclude.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity and starting this talk here, so that our students, they also get an idea about what is going on and they get a direction in what direction they should pursue and what they should do now. So
Right.
yes, this was a good news that came, that देर आए दुरुस्त आए पर थोड़ा सा ही आए. यही हुआ है, this little bit only that has been hiked. And if we see the market right now, it is not at all at par. Like, I'll go blunt that after 4 years of just a technical degree, a person is getting hired at around 10 lakhs per annum. But our research scholars who are giving their 3 years of graduation, 2 years of post-graduation, then if I take 1 year or 2 year of preparation for CSIR and then another 5 years, so it is bringing us to around 13 to 14 years of struggle. And after that also, they are not getting the proper remuneration, then it is really disheartening. And that's why, as ma'am was also pointing out, that many people are opting away from this field, even though initially they are interested in research, but somewhere in between they are dropping it and they are going to other fields because they are good pay. And ultimately everybody, like, that is the ultimate aim. Like, we are pursuing our career and that is because we want to settle down, we want good money. And of course there's this peer pressure where we see our colleagues, our friends from school and all, they are earning so good with that much of degree and that much of investment only. And it's that the PhD does not come for free, so we have to pay the fees as well. So that fees is there. Then there's the GST that the students have to pay for everything. So it is not at all fair, the amount that we have got. And that is also one of the reasons that many students, like even after pursuing the basic masters from here, they are going to foreign universities to do their research. In fact, if we see now, there are, like, I will say that almost all international companies, industries, they are having Indians at their topmost research positions because of the good environment, good research environment, no harassment, basic facilities are good, labs are better, the services that they get are better. There are people to listen to their complaints, listen to their concerns, and definitely money is better. So a huge chunk of our research scholars are moving outside for PhD,
Right.
and if they are struggling here for PhD, so definitely for postdoctoral and afterwards for settling down, they are definitely moving abroad. So if our
Right.
government is focusing on made in India, where it requires innovations, it requires the new innovations. So definitely we have to make our way in which we can stop this brain drain and keep the talents inside our country only.
That's very true. That's very true. The youth of the country should work towards the growth of the country. That's a well said point, ma'am. Thank you so much. Would you like to add some more points? Are you done?
That's it, sir. So I think, yeah, you are giving them a good direction. They should apply for a revision of this result that has come, and we really hope for the best that that works.
Right. Thank you so much, Tithi ma'am. So now we will put our attention towards some of the comments which we are receiving. So let's look at the first comment which we received from Manju Sharma. She says that's a bad news for all. Raise your voice against it. Definitely we're doing that right now. Muhammad Rizwan says, give me some information about internship in Hyderabad. So that's an unrelated question, Muhammad. You can reach out to me at shekhar@biotechnica.org. I'll guide you on that. Next is, what about Central University stipends? Yes, that's something which we were talking already. 8,000 rupees non-net fellowship is something which is like, very low. So that must be addressed immediately. Another thing which we have is the increase is not enough as per the present price index. Now, that's something which should have gone into the thought process already. I believe that somewhere somebody felt that this is in the Ministry of Finance or Department of Science and Technology. Somebody felt that the budget is something which is very important. We should not exceed it, and they tried to just divide it among the people. But you have to think about it. India can not beat China. India can never be the United States if we do not retain our talent. The cream must be into PhD, and the cream will never be into the PhD if we are not giving them the rightful money which they deserve. And it should be lucrative. It should be rewarding. It should be lucrative. It should be something which is worth it. So definitely, Anjan, your point is very true. Okay, Amit, good evening. Kaushik, so your question is, how does Project JRF working on projects in different institute will also get the fellowship? So Kaushik, we have no information on this. We are still waiting for more details. So far, they have just released that, okay, these are the 5 slabs which you are getting, but we don't have any information on that. If we get, definitely we'll look into this. We'll inform you. Next is Umair. He says that please talk about point number 4. I believe you're talking about the point number 4 as per the AIRSA, which is regular disbursement of fellowship, which is delayed. Okay, so when it doesn't come on time, it hurts the research fellows, and sometimes it is 6 months delayed. In fact, I know many students who could not take up our courses and those were like basic 1,000 rupee certification courses, because their fellowship itself is delayed. So when their fellowship comes, then only they take up the workshops, and that's really painful. So that should not happen. Okay, so the next question is, can you please tell us what are the chances of hike in fellowship of ICAR funded projects? So to be very clear, Udit, when DST announces ICAR actually comes under DST, if I'm not wrong, as far as I know. So if that is the case, definitely it will get increased, right? So the next question is, or comment is, okay, that's a repeat. Okay, which country is best for PhD financially? There are many countries. It's not just India. There are many countries where you can get to. We can probably make a video on this, which are the top countries where you can do your PhD and earn a lot of money. We'll definitely make a video on that. Next question, a strong point from Shivani. At least hike happened after so long. And that's a point I was making, that yes, at least the hike happened. But if that hike was so low, then it is not going to be very attractive to the student. It should have been at least 48,000 or 50,000. Then it would have made sense. The current inflation is killing it. Okay, it's not the fellowship; it's the current inflation which is going to kill, and that is where it should have happened. Azhar says this is not fair. Isse acha to badhao hi mat. Yeah, that sounds like that, but yeah, at least it increased. I would appreciate that. I would still appreciate that. And the most important thing is the government did it without much of effort. It was like, okay, we just reached out to them multiple times and it happened. It was not that people went on the road. Of course, we threatened to do that. That's something, yeah. All right, so. Dona, okay, you have mailed me today. Definitely, we will meet tomorrow, Dona. I guess you are coming to our office. We can meet there, right? Point number 4 of the notice published by Ministry of Expenditure. Okay, Umayyar, I'm not sure about it. I'll have to go through, and then if you can point it out here, I can help you out with that. I have not seen that point number 4 yet. Okay. We need more government attention towards life sciences field. Exactly. That's very important, Kirti. If we had no life science researchers in this country, you know, there would have not have been so many RT-PCR labs which just came up within COVID time, and we could, you know, do so many RT-PCR tests, and we could save so many people from COVID. And in fact, the pandemic, what happened, we already know so many people lost lives, but we could protect so many of them. Today, 98% of India is vaccinated, all thanks to the life sciences field. So we must pay attention to them. We must also support them. That's the reason we are doing this live cohort. So with this, we'll come to an end of our session. There's a last question from Manabesh. Will the ICMR fellowship also hike? Should be. That's the that should be the case, because DST has hiked it. It's not about the hike only. There is irregularity. Correct. The exams are irregular. The fellowship is irregular. These are things which needs to be taken care of. You are right, Ritvik. And already we are in touch with the HRDG officials to make sure this happens. The next is Saptala. We're trying other jobs to meet our financial problems. We're working against our passion. Very true. So many a times PhD scholars. In fact, now there is a rule that you cannot take up any other job if you are a CSIR JRF fellow. So that's also something we all should know, right? So can you please tell us for Japan, PhD fellowship scholarship for Japan? Definitely in future, we'll try to take that up, Nina, not in this session. Last question, when the result will be published? Umayyar, the results generally takes up to 3 months, maximum, minimum 2 months. So expect it somewhere in August. That's where we can put the date. Somewhere around 12th of August is what I can say that the results should be there, right? So that's all for today. My 3 NFSC fellowship will be hiked. If NFSC comes under DST, then yes, it will be, okay? So that's all for now. That was me and the panel who we wanted to address all of this in detail. And I would like to thank all the panelists. They had to leave because of their other scheduled meetings. But me and Neha ma'am are right here to tell you this, that our fight is not over. We are going to voice our opinion as long as possible so that we can get at least some kind of a revision or a promise or some more attention to this. I would need your support, and of course, I would like to thank the All India Research Scholars Association who really worked hard in this direction. And thank you everybody for tuning in today for this session. I hope in future we will be proud of becoming a PhD scholar because of the fellowship which will be rewarding. So with these thoughts and promises of the future, thank you so much. And it was wonderful interacting with all of you. I hope you found this session valuable. If you have any comments or questions, please put them down in the comment section after this live stream has ended. And if you want to reach out to me in person, you already know my email ID. That is shekhar@biotechnica.org. My aim here was to take care of our students who are going to be future PhD scholars and the researchers of this country. You all are going to play a very important role in the society, in this world. And if you are not rewarded for the right full amount, then you are going to suffer. And if you suffer, it hurts me. It hurts Biotechnica because we truly care for each one of you. Thank you so much and have a good night. Bye-bye. Thank you.